The relationship in this movie between Dean and Ariel mirrors that of Bonnie and Clyde, and the movie even makes a note to reference that as well. What was it like channeling this notorious relationship?
I think rather than trying to channel the relationship, instead we just made a movie about our two characters, on this journey. And then, as the movie comes out, you look at it and you go, oh, okay, they're right. That is a great new Gen Z version of Bonnie and Clyde, but I'm not sure that we were trying to recreate that. I think so many times when you're trying too hard to recreate something, it just ends up falling flat. So I think mainly we just wanted to make a movie about Dean and Ariel. And then that kind of turned into, oh, wow, this looks like Bonnie and Clyde type shit. It definitely gives that feeling. And I think a lot of people have tried to recreate the Bonnie and Clyde for, a new age. And it just goes so wrong. So I think by not trying to channel that, ours went so right.
I think too, like, when two young, good-looking people on the run, they're going to naturally be compared to Bonnie and Clyde. But when we went into this, there was a reference in the movie by the news, because the media would definitely compare them. But we never sat down and said, okay, Jake, you're Clyde, Bella, you're Bonnie, just play that version of that. It was really just a sort of a starting place of saying, oh, it's a couple on the run, but we got to make these people Ariel Summers and Dean Taylor, two first names,
Two first names.
Two first names.
To compare it, I think like they were saying, these characters had so much like otherwise that I was just trying to get a grasp of this guy coming out of the prison system, and Josh was able to connect me with a guy that had spent some time in the prison system. So that stuff was like more important. And I think like now people are really running with the Bonnie and Clyde comparison, but I don't think we were thinking about it as much as like
amazing job at portraying the main theme of this movie, which is the internet fame, whether that be good or bad. I'm curious to see what each of you think the worst internet trend is or has been.
The worst internet trend has been? I think the one where people, God, there's so many terrible internet trends, but I just want to say like the one where hella YouTubers were licking toilet seats during Corona, and they got Corona from the toilet seats in the airports and shit. I was like, yo, I don't know why this is a trend, but this just seems like what is happening right now? Like literally, my goodness. There's
the
so
Tide Pods trends. When people ate the Tide Pods.
When the men now are like they're trying to wax their beards because women wax their legs, and they're like doing this and it rips off and there's like blood everywhere. It's so bad.
Yeah,
that's a big one right now.
Wow. I haven't heard of any of them. Like these all sound terrible though, so I'm just gonna jump on board with these.
I mean, you have this whole thing of like the people that are now doing stuff just for the internet, just for Instagram.
Like value.
Yeah, or like the woman who was drilling, pretending to hold the drill to fix a window, and turns out she was just literally just doing it for the gram. I think just doing anything for the gram is problematic,
Right, definitely.
It's different if you live that and that's what you're doing, but I think anything.
I heard you don't actually fish, Josh, and you just go and you buy fish from the supermarket and you take
right,
pictures
exactly. Yeah, they're all fish from the supermarket.
It kind of ties into our previous question. I'm curious to see what everyone's thoughts are on social media in our society and the lengths that people will go to build a following.
Well, I think that they, we will go to any lengths. And that's the scariest point. That's why this movie works so well. And I think that's why people really like me as Ariel, because they think that, at some point they want to imagine this like ulterior universe where like, I'm a crazy girl. I'm really like out there and I'm going to do something bad or like, something really, out there to get attention. And I think that for most people in our industry, we realize like, it's like, first it starts off like, well, I'm not gonna really post on Instagram. I don't even want Instagram. God, look at all these people on Instagram. And then you're like, okay, fine. I got an Instagram, I got it. But like, I'm not gonna post like photos of my food. Like, I'm not gonna do that because everybody does it on Instagram. So I'm gonna find something else to post. And then you see that good photo of food and you're like, damn, I'd really like to post this photo of food. So then you end up doing it. And then you end up getting likes on that photo of food, and that photo of food makes it on some meme page or some shit. And you're like, oh, no way, my photo of food. Like, this is crazy. People are talking about it. And that just goes bigger and bigger and bigger. And it does lead us to this idea of how much of ourselves are we willing to put out for likes? Like, you know, especially like every girl on Instagram, like, you know, when you're showing more and more body, your like average goes up, 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 up. And it's like, how much are you willing to show physically of yourself to be up there and get these likes and to like attract this attention that you're like so badly seeking? And I think that's the most realistic part about this movie, is because we know people, you know, can do this, that this is that people have thought about this exact thing, you know.
Yeah, I think it can be a slippery slope, kind of like Bella says. It's like you have to look at your intentions of like why you're posting something. Like, is your self-worth tied into that post of like whatever people comment on it or like it? And so I don't know, I think it's a confusing path for a lot of people to kind of follow, and a lot of people almost, like you say, they feel pressured into doing certain things that are, you know, not genuine, or so I just hope it doesn't continue to get out of control like it does in this film.
And what was kind of your onset and idea going into this, Joshua? I did get the chance to read your bio about this, and just, you mentioned also the kind of links that people will go, and that was the inspiration behind it. So.
Yeah, I think that you know, what's really interesting about social media is that it's a quantitative experience, not a qualitative experience. And so what matters at the end of the day is that number: how many followers, how many likes. People, you know, if half the people following you follow you, it doesn't matter. You know, nobody's looking at each individual person saying, well, are they doing it because they like it, or doing it because they hate me? You know, and I think that that's part of the challenge. And so all it then feeds into is at the end of the day, what's that number? What am I getting? And I think you also desensitize audiences to those actions, and they demand more and more and more. You know, and so I think the movie is, you know, to be honest, like, to be frank, it's satire and it's ridiculous, but it's not that far-fetched, you know, and we really wanted to lean into that and make it big and make it crazy and make it wild, because that's what it is on social media. That's what people are doing. People are already committing crimes on social media. It happens all the time. They might get captured right away, but that's not the point of the movie. You know, the point of the movie is that we're all complicit. Whether we follow, whether we do it, we lend value to those accounts, you know, and their worth, their overall worth, because again, all that matters at the end of the day is that number.
While watching this, I was conflicted on whether or not Ariel truly loved Dean, or if it was more so the easiest way for her to achieve her internet fame dream. What do you think her true intentions were?
Well, I think one thing people don't see as much when they watch the movie is that this story is through Ariel's eyes. It's her version of what happened. It's her version of these events. So even in time, when you say, wait, why aren't they getting caught yet? In her time, it's longer, right? In her time, it's, you know, they have done more. They were able to really like live that life that she wanted to live so badly, achieve that for a longer period of time than in real life. Out of Ariel's eyes, it's actually condensed and it's much shorter. And I think that Ariel loves Jake, but it's like, you know, how much do you love your work? That's an interesting question to ask people. Like, you know, I love my boyfriend, but I fucking love my work, and my work will always come first, and it always does. And, you know, I don't know when that will change, only when I have kids, I'm pretty sure. So I think that with Ariel, she loves Dean. She fucking loves him. But her work, that comes first. And him not understanding that for her, honestly, just creates this bigger divide, which makes her go, wait, you're not the person I thought you were. Hold on. and that makes her even fall, like it drives her into the arms more of fame's arms.
Yeah, it really is. We really tried to make a sort of love triangle here. I think that, Ariel is attracted to Dean, and she's really into him. And it's a part of, he sort of exists in what she needs, in terms of her fantasy. Now, it's not to say the movie's a fantasy at all. It's not meant to be like, oh, it's a dream or it's something fake. Like, it's supposed to be, maybe not literal, but a mix of the two, kind of like Bella was saying. So, but I think that that's also what we wanted to explore was like, she has these feelings towards Dean, and they have a connection, they have a special thing. But on this other side, she's got the phone, and she's got the people who are admiring her and loving her, and that creates conflict, And so you'll notice in a lot of the scenes, especially even the ones between, Bella and Jake, as we get later into the movie, she's always got her phone call. And the phone's always interrupting something, and the phone's getting in the way. And at the end of the movie, without giving it away, like, when she leaves Jake, doesn't really give it away, but whatever. You should have seen the movie already before seeing this.
I did.
Where does she go? She goes to the phone, right? And so really then it says, well, yeah, she probably feels bad about him, but really what's the thing now providing her that sustenance and providing her that life and that drive? And it's been the thing that's always been there, which is the phone.